Grief is a heavy and vulnerable conversation to have. This platform is a safe place for all individuals to come share their life's journeys of surviving grief without judgment.
I'd like to welcome you to the QT Surviving Grief podcast. My name is Tiffany Ware, and I am the podcast host. And today I have a very special guest on. I met this lady when I went to attended Grace United Church in Columbia, Tennessee, and they also have a Nashville location. And she's always just been a sweet spirit and inspiration. So I would like to introduce to you all Minister Barbara Booker. Hi, Minister Barbara.
Hello,
How are you today?
I am great.
Good, good, good. Well, we're just going to jump on into our conversation. I just want you to give a little intro and let our audience know who is Barbara Booker.
Barbara Booker, I'm a very quiet person. I love life. I love enjoying life, and I've learned now just not to take everything so serious and just enjoy. I love traveling. Love to going to professional baseball games, especially Atlanta Braves. I'm an Atlanta Braves fan, and I was married for 32 years. My husband died unexpectedly in 2019. We have one son, and he's married. His name is Travis Booker. He's married to Erica Booker, and I have two grandchildren, Isaiah, who is 5, and Kensington, who is 3. And I love them both. They live in Fort Worth, Texas. So I enjoy spending time with them. Whenever I get to see them and whenever they get to come here, I just enjoy the time. Um, I've been in the ministry for over 20 years. I'm one of the assistant ministers at Grace United. My pastor is Pastor Kerry James. So before everything happened, my husband, I could tell you a whole lot about who Barbara is, but now I'm on this journey of just understanding who I am and exploring new things as this journey has taken me on.
Yeah, I like that. It shifts for sure when you have different things happen in your life. You know what your life looks like and who you are. So, thank you
Yes,
for that intro. It's good. At least you have somewhere to go visit. I'm sure often all the way. I didn't realize your son was in Texas, so that
yes.
is a trip and a half. I'm sure, and I know you have fun with those grandchildren. So, thank you for just giving us a glimpse into who you are. And so I guess we'll kind of roll into our conversation. Do you remember the first time you ever experienced grief or death or loss?
The first time that I can recall was when my favorite aunt, when she died many years ago, because that was very detrimental to me because at that time I had never had anybody that died that was close to me.
Mm.
Um, but then when my mom died, it was unexpectedly too, and I remember going through. Yeah, it's like I'm always one of those people. I try to make sure everybody else is okay, and then
Mm-hmm.
when everybody else is okay, then I feel like I'm okay. But I was so busy trying to take care of everything and everybody else that I didn't have time to grieve. And it hit me. I remember at work one day, and it was just like it was close to Mother's Day, and it just really hit me then that my mom wasn't here. My died when I was like in 6th grade, so I don't really remember that much of it. But when my mom died, it really even hit home harder because I felt like then it's like that's the only parent I had left, and
Mm-hmm.
to just have her die unexpectedly, that just kind of took a toll. But God brought me through that, so I'm thankful for that. And of course, along the way, I've lost some brother-in-laws and some sister-in-laws. So, but God is still good. He's keeping me.
Yeah, yeah. Grief can be such a journey, and it seems as though, we have those first experiences, and then it's like, okay, this is part of life. But like you said, at the end of the day, God is going to keep you through that journey. Um, of going through those losses. So thank you for
Yes.
sharing that. And so I guess from there I just really want to roll into, I know a big piece of your life was your husband, Mr. Kenneth Booker. So I
Yeah.
want to know, just where did y'all's love story begin? Just a little bit about him.
Our love story began. I worked at a bank, and I always loved telling the story, and he always just used to smile at that. I worked at the bank, and I was a bank teller, and he was one of our customers there. So I always used to joke with people and say I already knew how much money he had. But one day he had told his brother that he liked me, and he just stuck a rose through the drive-through window, and that
Oh.
was so sweet, you know. And I still remember that now, that rose that he put through that drive-through window, and it was like that was the talk of the office that day. But we dated like for 4 years, and then we got married in 1991, and then our son was born in 1993. So, and we traveled everywhere. When I say we travel, we love traveling, and he loved traveling. If you anybody ever knew his parents was Mr. Sonny Booker and Miss Johnny Mae Booker, they loved to travel. So Ken has it honestly. He loved to travel. We travel so much. I've been to Niagara Falls like 4 times, been to the Bahamas like 3 times, and went our last trip we went to the Dominican Republic and we was on a cruise. So we did cruises for like 3 years. We've been on 3 different cruises, and of course, I have my son and my husband love sports, so I was always into
Mhm.
sports because I was, hanging out with them. So we've been to basketball games, football games, baseball games. We've been to all of those, and just to be able to share those experiences and have our son to be able to share those experiences is wonderful. So I always say, if the Lord doesn't allow me to travel anywhere else, He's allowed me to see a lot already. So I'm just thankful that I had a husband that loved to travel. He loved family. And most people remember my husband. He had the mobile auto wash. It was a little green truck with a little trailer
Mhm.
behind it. He was all over Columbia, so everybody loved him. He was a great car detailer. So that's how our love story began.
Yeah, yeah, you have so many memories with that.
Yes,
And the travel. I mean, that's what really living is about. Really living
yes,
life, really enjoying people you love. And so I know you have awesome videos, pictures, all of that you will hold on
yes,
to forever. So I know you did mention he did pass away unexpectedly, which is something we was going to delve into as well. So if you would like to share a little bit about that as well, you can, Miss Barbara.
yes. Um, Our son got married in June of 2019. So all the family, everybody came together. We were in Memphis for the wedding. It was just a beautiful time, beautiful. And both of our families, my side was there, my husband's side, and of course, Erica, her family was there. So it was just a beautiful time. We all just fellowshiped and had a really great time. And after the wedding, we went on a cruise to the Dominican Republic and we came back. And my husband started feeling, he wasn't feeling his best. And when he's not, doesn't feel like doing cars, like detailing cars, I knew something wasn't right. But he
Mm-hmm.
kept saying he was really tired and he just needed some rest. And finally, when we got him to the doctor and got him to go because he was one, like most people don't like to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
But when he went to the doctor, they found out that he had cancer. That was in August of 2019. And then we went through, various doctors. They sent us to Vanderbilt to the oncologist up there. Went through all of that, all of the testing and so forth, and then found out it was on his adrenaline gland, which that was a rare type of cancer. But it had spread it so fast from August up until um, October when we were going through Vanderbilt that it wasn't anything else they could do. So he didn't want to go through all the treatment because he saw what happened with his brother because one of his brothers died of cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and he was very close to his brother. So he's close to all of his family. But that when we traveled up and down the road with him when he was going through his treatment. So my husband was like, "No, I don't want to go through that." So we were like, "It's your decision." So um, we did not go through any of the cancer treatments because he couldn't, because at that time it had spread it really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very thankful because my job allowed me to be able, after the last few stages, they allowed me to be able to work from home and be his caregiver. Also had my brother and sister-in-laws who stepped in and helped out too. My nephews, nieces, all of them stepped in to help out too. So it's good to have a good support family.
Mm-hmm.
And December 7th, 2019, my husband went on to be with the Lord. Um, but I'm very thankful for all the years that we had together. And so December is kind of a hard month for me because it's also December 7th was also his sister's birthday. So we didn't even get a chance to celebrate her birthday. I remember us all saying that night afterwards, it was like, oh, happy birthday. Um, but but we had the homegoing celebration. It was what he would like. It was a very uplifting homegoing celebration. So, it's something you come back off a cruise and then you find out this is going on. But I'm just, like I said, thankful because it was only God that kept me through that. And all the friends that called and texted and prayed with me. Uh, One of my God brothers, he would always call and just go do Bible study with my husband. um, he would also call and check on my pastor. Did the same thing. He would call and check on him. So I'm just thankful for all of that. Um, the one thing that did happen was our son at that time, they were living in Murfreesboro, and he was blessed to be able to have a job where they allowed him to come home, and he could come home and help me out with his dad. So I'm very thankful that because he took a big cut in pay to be able to do that, and just being newly married, I'm thankful for his wife for just being very supportive. And I tell you, getting through that whole trying to get everything prepared for the homegoing service, I have to say hats off to Erica because she was a strong person. She was on one that kind of helped me and Travis get through that. She was there along with my sister-in-laws, putting everything together. And I'm just very thankful for that. And the thing that I would also say is that having a very strong support from family and friends makes a difference when you're going through everything.
Yeah, it does. And it sounds like you had support all the way around, from
Yes.
during, his illness and then on up through when he transitioned and just the planning of that, which can be super stressful and overwhelming. That support system means the world. It really
Yes, it
does.
does.
And so even from that, I wanted to ask you, um, I know this was an emotional roller coaster because like you said, it was like all these happy moments are happening. Y'all go on a cruise and then you come back and get this news and everything just transpires so fast. Um, how did you handle those extremities of grief? When you think about, I know some things I've experienced and currently too, like isolation, or, sometimes people can get into a state where they just don't want to do anything, like a depressive state. Some people get into being angry. I think about the stages of grief, denial. Did you ever experience any of those, Minister Barbara?
I did. And the everything that happened because in 2019, after my husband died, then we went into the middle of COVID. And
Yeah.
then
Hmm.
everything shut down. So it was like, oh, okay, what am I gonna do? Let's say you go from one room to the other and you're just sitting. And
Hmm.
my house had so many memories, of course, in it. So what I started doing was trying to do some remodeling in the house, what I could, to try to make it more of Barbara and not so much of Ken. But his memories are always here. The roller coaster, I mean, I still have roller coaster moments. There are days like I call it. Well, I've learned through. I went through the grief share program because that was during. Like I said, during COVID, we couldn't really go anywhere, so I did the grief share program. um, and I've been through it twice, so it's very helpful. And a lot of things that they taught us in there was we talked about the trigger moments, and those trigger moments is really something that I can't even explain. It's like you can be somewhere, you can be all happy, and then all of a sudden you just get a sadness about you. There are
Hmm.
times when I'm out shopping, especially during the holidays, and I hear all the happy holiday tunes, and it'll remind me that my husband's not here, not to be able to go shopping with, and he always used to be. He would always like let me do the shopping. He would just be waiting either in the car or
Hmm.
waiting in the mall or wherever. So I miss those moments of him just being there. I won't say that it's not an easy task because, grief is something that you continue to have regardless. I know people say, well, you should be over that by now. But no, grief is a continued process. But what you don't do is allow it to get you down. And I remember my son would always say, Mom, don't go to the black hole. And that meant, Mom, don't let this get to you to a point where you're in a black hole. And that black hole means that deep depression.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I would say that I've had some depression with this because it's like, all of a sudden you went from two incomes to one income, and then you're like, okay, my husband took care of a lot of things for me. I mean, he really did around the house and everywhere else. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I don't know how to do this. I got to
Yeah.
call somebody. So
Yeah.
that is hard because then I don't want to feel like I have to ask people to come do something which because I'm always I feel like I'm a strong person even when I'm asking for help but it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
I did feel like it was a time when I needed to withdraw, especially everything that happened. I needed to withdraw from the church because in my mind at that time I was like, how could God allow this to happen? How did it happen to me? Because I
Mm-hmm.
never really had time to process anything. It was like you go on a trip, you come back, you're diagnosed with cancer, and then they said it's spread, you can't get any treatments. So I never really had time to process any of that. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I gotta work from home now. And at that time we weren't working from home. So I'm very thankful. My director, he actually went to our HR and asked them to allow me to work from home to spend this time with him. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
always thankful for that. Um, but one of the things that I've learned is that when I get to those moments where I'm very depressed or down,
Uh-huh.
I'll listen to some music or I'll journal, or most importantly, I'll call up one of my god sisters and just talk to them. My pastor's always good about talking. We have moments we just laugh, and he's like my little brother, I call him. But even though he's
Uh-huh.
my pastor, but I've known him for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
But that helped. But I would say that there is no time that you don't ever feel like, hey, I'm by myself, because we've all feel like sometimes we're by ourselves. Nobody understands our story. Nobody understands the pain, the grief. And of course, we go through those 5 stages of grief, the main
Yeah.
stages as they call it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that, I think I've heard of the secondary stages that you go into. And then there's also, I feel like it's a third stage, because it's women who've been married for years,
Mm-hmm.
or even, anybody who's not married, you've been with someone for a long time. You're associated with it. Oh, that's, I always say, oh, I was Ken's wife. I was Travis's mom. But
Mm-hmm.
nobody ever said, well, okay, who is Barbara? Just like you were saying, who is Barbara?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for women, we have to find our identity again, because we've been associated with them for so long, and it's like, okay, we know who we are in Christ, but there are times because of you know maybe you've been able to go out, have friends you used to go out with, and people stop calling. As I always said, everybody's there when you're going through, but
Mm-hmm. That's
then the
true.
phone calls stop. They forget about birthdays, holidays, anniversaries. They forget about those times that you need somebody to say, hey, how's it going? What you doing? Just wanted to
Mm-hmm.
check in with you. And that's one of the things that I started, during COVID. Uh, I just started checking in with different widows that I knew, just like, hey, how's it going?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Most of the time I would text them. A lot of them are a lot older, and they've been married for longer, many years than I have. So
Mm-hmm.
they would just I would just like check in. Hey, how's it going? Just wanted to check in on you, and that helped me. Uh,
Yeah.
one of my sisters in Nashville, she had lost her daughter through a awful situation, and I remember her getting up and reading this poem at her daughter's funeral, and she blessed me, because to me, I felt like if she can make it
Mm-hmm.
through
Yeah.
this tragic moment, I can make it. And
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
blessed me so much. And then I've had other widows, and my godmother, she's always there helping me, and she had went through it too.
Mm-hmm.
So and they've been married for a long time. So she's been able to help me through it too. But I'd say the one thing that, when you're in that emotional roller coaster, don't stay in there by yourself. Don't stay there. Get up, go out. And that means get up, go outside your house, walk outside, get some fresh air if you can. I'd get in the car and ride. That's what I would do. Just ride. So if I didn't ride nowhere, but just to the store and back, I got
Mm-hmm.
out of the house. Even
Yeah.
during COVID, when we weren't supposed to go nowhere, I would get in my car and just ride. I didn't even stop anywhere because we couldn't, But I would just
Yeah.
get in there and just ride to get away, because, it was like all these memories here, and then we can't go anywhere. But um,
Mm-hmm.
that's the one thing that I felt that helped me. And of course, I journal. I'm a writer. I write down a lot of things. Um, so that helped me a lot. But just having people to talk to and friends, so that's the most important thing that helped me. And then when I feel like I'm going through those depressed moments, I always know that, hey, God is right there. And I have a deeper relationship with God now that I didn't have before, because I know He's the only one that's been keeping me. Because there are times when, oh goodness, when
Yeah.
I felt like I was really going to be losing it, but God, and when those moments when I've cried and just, Lord, why and how, and just trying to understand all the what ifs, as we would say,
Hmm.
um, God would be right there. And I remember one thing that I'd heard, and it stuck with me, and it reminded me, Ken's assignment was up.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
his assignment was up. So it was time. So I that stays with me forever, because that helps me get through it when I'm at my sad moment. Of course, we were in church together, so we worked in the ministry together. Did a couples ministry together. We had just started working on that, and we loved working in our church. He loved working in the church. We did back to school programs, like making sure the kids had school supplies. That was our ministry we did. Um, but a lot of those now, I was trying to do that right after he died, trying to keep with
Hmm.
all that. And then finally I said, that was our ministry. What is Barbara's ministry now? So
Yeah.
God has given me a different ministry and a different thing to do now.
Yeah, you dropped so many gems in that question. You talked a lot about of course, still like that community of support. Um,
Yes,
Definitely some things I took away was the journaling, the just getting out of the house, actually doing some things to take care of yourself in those moments. And
yes,
then also that identity piece is huge, Minister Barbara, because but as women, we do get into that. And you know who
yeah,
you are in Christ, like you said. But now, okay, that was our ministry, was the school giveaway. Okay, so now what is Minister Barbara's ministry look like? And it looks a lot different. So I applaud you for even recognizing that, and now you are on your journey of what your ministry is, currently in your life.
yeah,
I think it's something we often miss, kind of, when we have lost that, spouse or significant other, partner, whatever people, different things you call it. But that's huge. I'm glad you brought that point up, actually. Yeah, that's good. That is really good. You did talk a little bit about how your relationship with God, kind of how that shifted. And even as the minister, I think it's good to highlight, you said you still did go through it. Like you did get to a point where you question God, like, why did this happen? Why is this happening to
yes,
me, to us? Do you want to expound on that anymore? But I think that's really honest, and I think that hits home because I know I've been through that, and I'm also sure others have too. And it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to feel like that. Sometimes I feel like we often heard like, you don't question God, you don't do this, you don't do that.
hmm,
But creating a safe space where we can be open about it's okay to do that. It's just about not staying there. So I don't know if you want to expound on it anymore, but thank you for highlighting it.
yes. I'll expand on it. One of the things, as I said, because my husband and I, we were both in the church, working in the church, and we love doing things for Grace United for our pastor, Pastor Kerry James.
Hmm.
Um, and whatever the church, needed, we were like at both locations. So we were always doing stuff, for our church. But when everything happened, I was like, okay, what happened here? And sometimes they always say, well, the church is there for you, and the church is there for you, but also as an individual, you got to find something outside of the church. And that's where I went to Grief
Hmm.
Share, because I knew that somebody else who went through my situation, they could help me and help me understand what is happening here. I would say I got to a point where I really didn't want to be back in preaching. I didn't want to be back teaching. I didn't want to do any of that, because I was like, I don't know. I wouldn't say if I was mad at God. I was just trying to understand all of this that just happened.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it was like, how can I encourage somebody else when I am just broken? I was just
Yes.
broken inside. But
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
remember one lady who had that went to my church, and she had said, "You're going to smile again,"
Mm.
and that blessed me because she had lost her husband at a very young age. And when she told me that, I was like, okay, I didn't see how I would ever smile again.
Yeah.
And it was like, of course, I went to church and songs they would sing. Even when my pastor would preach messages, I was just like it was just going over me. It was like I was in a fog, I guess, for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But then the more I got to praying and talking with God and just studying His Word, and also one of the things that I did, I read a lot because I'm a reader. I read a lot of books on widows,
Okay.
understanding their stories, understanding how to navigate through this process. And that helped me. I've gotten so many different books that I've read. I've did some online training with it. So I'm one of those people that when something happens, I'm going to go research it out. Let me find information on it that's going to help me.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Yeah.
more I
Yeah.
reached out and read those books, did the training, talked to other people, then I began to see how God started to open me up because inside, I was closed up. I was like, I can't talk to anybody. Nobody understand my story.
Mm-hmm.
And one day we had to go to this lady's house in Nashville. She had just lost her husband. And my pastor said, I saw you break then. And that was like probably about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I had a breaking moment there, and that's when I feel like everything just came out. It's like they always say a volcano, it goes so long then it just erupts,
Yeah.
and that's why
Yeah.
I felt like it erupted, and all the brokenness that was in me from that is like it just came out that one day. And I always
Wow.
say, when you least expect it, that's when
Yeah.
everything, you can hold it all in, or you can, cry a moment, but when it'll come out eventually. And that's what I did. That's what happened that day. And I felt better. I felt a peace because it was like I got it out. But it's hard to encourage other people when you're so broken yourself.
Yeah.
But I've learned that even through my brokenness, somebody needs to hear that I've been broken, but God can put you back together again. Now you won't be the same as you once were, because I won't be the same without, because Ken was like everything. Like, we laughed together. We even had plans of what we're gonna do when we retire. We had
Yeah.
a business that we are gonna do. We're gonna do another business. And it's like, okay, what do we do now? What do I do now? Because I have no desire to do any of that now.
Right.
Um, but that's one of the things that I would say that happened with me. I just really kind of closed up in the ministry. I didn't want to, like I said, didn't want to minister, didn't want to teach or anything. And I remember one of the other ministers, she had lost her husband, and she said, "Barbara, you still have something to give." And I remember
Powerful.
I would start putting just little things I call the golden nuggets. I would put that like on Facebook, just put that every now and then, something to encourage somebody. And the more I did that, the better I felt. And I feel like myself coming out of that. I don't know if I'd say a fog or whatever it was, coming out of that where I could start to minister and encourage others.
Yeah. I like the golden nuggets. It's powerful how someone can just drop that one thing in your spirit to be like,
Yes,
okay, this gets me back in my process of who I am as a minister in Christ, and okay, this is some baby steps just to get back into it. So,
yes,
that's powerful. That is so powerful. And another thing you had mentioned early on, you was talking about your son and how he encouraged you, like, don't go in that black hole. How was it, just thinking as a parent, navigating Travis through, or being supportive to one another, but through that journey because he lost his father.
yes.
So what was that like? And he was an adult, but what was that like, being supportive of him as well as y'all navigated that?
Well, Travis and I are very close. We
Mhm.
talk every day on the phone. And if we don't talk, it's like, okay, I haven't talked to you today. What's going on? But we talk every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day.
Mhm.
Um, One of the things that helped us is that we always talk about uh, my husband. We talk about his dad, and we talk, and I allow him to share moments of things he's feeling, things that he always says now, because they love sports and they would always call each other, even when he was in college, when he was at, you know, when he had was in college, when he just got married, they would call each other on the phone and talk about sports. My husband and Travis would. So Travis talks about that now, how he missed not having his dad to call and talk about sports. And of course, the one thing we both talk about is that how my grandsons, not having that opportunity of being, of Ken being in their lives.
Yeah.
Um, I always say my oldest grandson, Isaiah, he's so much like Ken. He's just very outgoing. He loves people. He's just very outgoing. Kensington, the youngest, he's very small. He's a little shy,
Hmm.
but I think that has helped my son having a family, having his wife there to support him. That says a lot.
Yeah.
One of the things he's also been able to help is when one of his friends had lost his dad, he was able to encourage him and minister to him. So he's learned that. And then also at his church that they go to in Texas now,
Hmm.
he went through a grief ministry at his church, so that helped him to understand some things too. And they had workbooks; they worked through it. So
Mm, okay.
he worked through it. And I like the part that now he's able to minister to someone else who's lost a father, and he's always saying, "Well, if they need to talk to me, I'm here. I've been there."
Yeah.
So I like
Yeah.
that he's being able to share his story, share his experience. And like I say, every day when we talk, it's still something that I'll bring up something about Ken, or we'll talk about something that, one of my grandsons done that reminded him of his dad. So uh, I like that part that, we are able to talk about it.
Yeah.
And, anytime he feels like, he can't talk about it, he can talk to me or Erica, or, he has friends that he can call and he talks to, and he has a great support system, with his good friends that he talks to a lot. So,
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's good, and y'all can have those conversations, and I'm sure laugh and say, "Daddy used to say," or "Ken used to
yes,
say." It's always good when you can do that. So, thank you for sharing. I just know, a lot of uh, parents and their children go through that process. So, just giving them an outlet and ways to kind of cope, and I think that right there may help a lot of people, Minister Barbara.
yes.
So I want to ask you this. I know we talked a lot about Ken. What are some life lessons you feel like you learned through y'all's years together that you'll carry on?
Of course, I'm still traveling. I don't
Okay.
travel as much, but that's one thing I'm still doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other thing is, I always wanted to make sure that I take my grandsons on a trip. So I've taken the oldest one, and the youngest one. We've been to amusement parks. So I want to take them some more trips. Um, Other thing that I would say is that probably the one thing that I would think of lessons learned is that don't take life for granted.
Yeah.
Don't take life for
Mm-hmm.
granted, because of course, going through that with my husband, then everything happened with COVID. We took
Mm-hmm.
so much for granted.
Yeah.
Um, and as couples, I would tell couples, don't sweat the small stuff. Goodness, don't sweat that. It's not even worth that. It's not even worth, arguing over the toothpaste. Who didn't put the cap back on it?
Mm-hmm.
That's non-value added there. Enjoy your time together. um, don't be so quick to be so involved with. Sometimes we get so involved with life, with work, with church, with everything else, that we forget about the relationship we have with each other. So, as a couple, don't forget about that time with each other. Make yourself have date nights. My
Mm-hmm.
husband and I, we had date nights. We would have in between his work schedule and mine. We'd call it date night. On Monday nights we'd go eat at a restaurant, and then maybe on the weekends, if we
Mm-hmm.
you know if we, when we weren't in church on Sunday, which most of the time we were, but we would just take a day and just ride. And he loved to ride somewhere. We'd ride anywhere to Kentucky. We rode to Alabama. We just take a day and ride, and we would just laugh and talk about things that is probably non value add anybody else, but we would just laugh about stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
then even
Yeah.
at church, I would say enjoy the time you have with your spouse at church. And ladies, don't, we always upset about everything going on and trying to make everything perfect. it's okay, ladies, to just relax, enjoy your time with your spouse. And I always say to couples, don't allow whatever you disagreements you had with your spouse before you get to church. Don't allow that to spill over in the church. Just smile and deal with it when you get out of church. And most of the time, I've learned that whatever you were, had a disagreement about, it had nothing to do with anything. It was just Satan was trying to get you off track and get you
Hmm.
off focus of God. And I found that when you get to that point, when you get to church, God will just kind of just take all that away. When you start focusing on God and everything you might have argued about or disagreed about with your spouse that morning, by the time you get to church, God has turned that situation around, and you're back. You're just enjoying focusing on God. So I would say that. And then the other lesson I would learn for people to say is that continue to pray for one another. As husbands, pray for your wives. Wives, pray for your husbands. And of course, both of you pray together for your children. Even when they're small or whether they're grown, pray for them. Keep them lifted up in prayer. So much going on. So that
Yeah.
was some lessons I would say I've learned from my husband and us being together.
Yeah, yeah, that's powerful. I think sometimes people don't understand how powerful that prayer piece is, Minister
Yes.
Barbara, because that's what, that's our guidance and our communication with God, so that's good. That's good. And I don't sweat the small stuff. I really like that because,
Yes.
like you say, we live in a society where and I think it may be a woman thing too. Like we do want to be in control of everything, and we do want things to be just like perfect or whatever, but it's like just don't it's not even know, like
Yes.
you say, you don't have to sweat the small things, just live life. And so yeah, I definitely agree with that 100%. Um, and so we've talked a lot about, Ken, and do you guys do anything to just honor his legacy? Is there anything y'all continue as a family, or even you and Travis as, a mother and son? Do y'all do anything to honor Ken's legacy?
Um, well, one of the things we do is when Travis comes home, uh, he goes to the cemetery with, if I'm not with him, he'll go out there and take his sons to the cemetery out there.
Hmm.
Um, and my oldest grandson knows that his grandfather's in heaven, and he'll tell people my grandfather's in heaven.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
my husband was one of those. He didn't like for people to. He was like, I'm gone now. There's no need for you to run to the cemetery all the time to see me and all of that. So he wasn't one of those that wanted us to do that all the time.
Yeah.
So usually, most of the time, I usually do something like the anniversary of his death. I'll go
Hmm.
out there and put flowers out there. But for his birthday, it's usually too hot because his birthday is in July. His birthday is the same
Gotcha.
day as Erica's birthday. So I can't
Wow.
forget his birthday for because it's on the same day as hers. But that's
Gotcha.
one of the things that we do. And of course, I did some things at church, like donated some things in memory of my husband. But
Yeah.
most of the time, that's basically what Travis and I do. If he's not here, then I'll still go ahead and do some flower arrangements, take it out there to the cemetery.
Hmm.
Um, but one of the things that we, honor is that he loved us. He wanted us to go ahead on with life and just enjoy it and just laughing and enjoying life. So that's what we're trying to do and trying to keep his memory alive and just, you know, enjoying life. And I always say I get to see a lot of it through my grandson's eyes because seeing things through a child's eyes is so much different
Yeah.
than what we see. Um,
Hmm.
and I actually, Travis and I had a conversation about that. It's just how, you can be riding down the road and you don't really notice things until you're like, oh, I didn't know that was there. So again, sometimes we're so busy and caught up with everything. But that's one of the things that Ken would want us to do is just continue on and uh, keep his legacy alive by just being nice to people, being respectful to people, and loving people even when people say or mean things to you or they disappoint you in life or they hurt you. Just still continue loving them because God loves us that much that he would want us to forgive others. So that's
Yeah.
one thing that I would say that Ken would want us to do, to continue on loving people regardless.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's really powerful. And it's good when you know he would want you to go on.
Yes,
And it's so funny you said, he wouldn't want us out there at the cemetery. Quinn was the same way. Like, I'm not out there. Don't like if something happened to me, y'all don't have to be coming out here. I'm not out there. And so
yes,
and just wanting you to just keep pushing. So that's powerful. And it just really shows the man that he was. So thank you for sharing all of that about Mr. Kenneth Booker. He's a special guy.
yes,
Um, and so I want to roll on now, just kind of into your pathway forward. We talked a lot about now you have a new ministry and a new focus, in life, of what God has put into you. I know you told me that a few years ago you started I can't remember if it was a widows support group ministry or program that you would do at church. So I just kind of want you to talk a little bit about that.
yes. One of the things that I've learned is God had allowed me to turn my pain into purpose. And when I
Hmm.
say that pain into purpose, because of, the loss of Ken was very painful, but he's given me a purpose, and that is I have a heart for widows.
Hmm.
I have a heart for anyone who's had a companion or anyone who's lost someone that you've been very close to. My heart goes out to them because I understand your pain. I understand that because I've been there. When people say, "Yeah, I know what you're going through," no, they don't really know, but I know what it's like to lose your spouse, and I know what it's like to all of a sudden you have you're like, okay, what do I do now? Situation to where um, like, okay, now it's me. But God allowed me to go through, I understand now, He allowed me to go through that so I could be a testimony to somebody else. And a few years ago, I started having, I did a widow's brunch, and I plan to do that again next year. And it was wonderful. I had widows from all different denomination. Everybody came together and they shared their stories of how long they had been married. Uh, Most of the ones that was in there had been married a long time compared to my 32 years. Um, but it was just good to hear their stories and hear how they continued on. The other thing is that I would have, during the holidays, I would have a program called Surviving the Holidays. And it was just giving widows an opportunity to express what they were going through, because a lot of times at holidays, as I said, for some people it's a very sad time. It's a very um, depressing time, but it doesn't have to be sad and depressing. I mean, you can move forward during that holiday. Yeah, I know people, they are like, well, what's wrong? You shouldn't be grieving. But
Hmm.
to understand, as a widow, you may have did certain things together. Maybe you shop for Christmas gifts together. Maybe you put up Christmas decorations together. Maybe even bake food or something, cookies or special recipes or something. So I
Hmm.
like to encourage widows and people who have lost someone close to them, is that don't stop doing those things. If that makes you happy and it gets you to that point, continue on. If you bake cookies together, bake cookies, and maybe take them to the nursing home or take them to your church and have them hand them out, at the holidays. Um,
Hmm.
if you did shopping together when maybe your husband or spouse is not there, then have somebody else go with you. Or maybe if you have a hard time going, because, and during the holidays, they have all this Christmas, cheerful music going on, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh no. But I say continue doing those things, but also find you something else different that you can set aside to say, this is what I do. um, for me, most of the time during holidays, I'm with family. I love
Hmm.
spending time with my husband's family, my family, just kind of getting together, and we I hear their stories, we laugh, we talk. Um, my husband's family is we're still very close and we still get together.
Hmm.
um so that time is spending with family, enjoying that time. And then now if if Travis is not coming here, I'm going to Texas to visit with them and spend that time with my grandbabies. um Last year they were here for the holidays. We were able to go and see the Christmas lights and all of that, so that felt good.
Hmm.
But the ministry, as I said, that is something that I'm very focused on that. this year, God has allowed me to be able to do something different because there's been so many people who've lost so many loved ones, whether it's been spouse, children, brothers, sister, aunts, uncles, in our church within the last month,
Mm-hmm.
we have really had a lot of our members who lost loved ones.
Yeah.
And I was like, Lord, what do I need to do here? Because there's so much people's, they're losing them close to the holidays.
Yeah.
And I started, going back to doing, well, I think I'll do something. I was like, Lord, and I'm always like praying, God, show me, what it is you want me to do. And it's like, it's time to go back and do another surviving the holidays. How do you get through those holidays? That's the question that a lot of people have. Like, how do I get through this? I've lost, family members. How do I get through these holidays? So that's where I'm having that next month. It'll be November the 8th at
Okay.
10 o'clock. It's going to be
Okay.
at Grace United Church in Columbia, and it's open to everyone in the community. Come out. I have some information on how to navigate through those holidays. Um, have some great panel speakers that's going to come in and speak about some of the loss that they've had. So it's going to be great, and I'm looking forward to people coming out. And if anybody would like to share their stories, they'll be able to share their stories at the surviving the grief of during the holidays. Um, People don't realize that holidays are really hard for some people.
Yeah.
Like I always say, you can be smiling on the outside, but just tore up on the inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, so people need to understand that family, friends, if they've lost a loved one, don't just stop inviting them to, gatherings because they've lost loved ones. Like, well, I don't know if she or he would want to come. Yes, they want to come. They want to
Yeah.
get out of the house. They want to be able to uh, feel like people haven't forgotten them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's one
Yeah.
of the things when I was reading about widows when they go through is that a lot of the friends that they had when they were a couple, uh, those people don't know how to, to invite them out again. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you're going
Mm-hmm.
to be like this third wheel here, but that's
Yeah.
okay. It's, invite them. At least you can say yes or no.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, because it does I think sometimes people don't know even how to. I don't know. It's weird, Mr. Barber. Like they don't know what to say. They don't know, do I not? But like you said, just the
yes.
invitation, just invite. And then it's left up to that person if they are interested in, participating or not. But just being invited is good.
Yeah. I
Um,
think the more you can get out and change your environment during
mhm.
the holidays. Like for me, if I'm not in Texas, I'm here, I'm with the family, but where I'm over one of my nephew's house or my sister-in-law's house. So I'm at a different environment. But
Mhm.
also, one of the things that I didn't mention earlier, but we have
Mhm.
talked about is that I go to little different coffee shops. And I
Yeah.
know some people may not be great coffee drinkers, but they also have tea there and they have most of the coffee shops have, where you can buy like a muffin or a Danish or whatever. They might even have sandwiches there. So I try to go out and find those little places like, oh, that'll be good just to get away. And sometime I've been there and I've just been like just me and God, and it's just like a peace
Mhm.
come over me. I read my Sunday school lesson there, prepared for my Sunday school lesson there, and even just took time just even reading through my Bible and just being at peace. So that's another opportunity. Whereas during the holidays, if you don't, have anything to do or nobody invites you out, don't wait for people to invite you out. Go start doing your own thing.
Yeah,
The
that's true.
coffee shops. Uh, it's okay to go out and eat by yourself. I had to
Yeah.
learn that the hard way because
Mhm.
I didn't, I'm so used to just me and Ken would go out and eat. And it was just like, it's okay to sit in a restaurant and eat by yourself. It's okay to sit down and go to the movies by yourself. I've learned that it's okay to do those things. Not that I need anybody's permission, but I just felt awkward doing that. Uh,
Yeah, I understand.
so I was like, I'm sitting there looking at my phone, or I'm trying to look at, read something. But sometimes just go in and sit down and just change of atmosphere,
Yeah.
during the holidays. So those are some things that I would say that help widows. That's one of the things I talk about uh, in the when I had the widow's brunch, and then also having surviving the holidays. Those are some things that I kind of remind people that don't forget about yourself, and that during that holiday season, personal time, self care is very important. That's important throughout the time, but it's also important during the holidays because holidays comes up on us, and so used to being with family and friends, and people need to understand that, hey, I might have a moment there, I might cry, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
okay. It is okay.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. You hit on a lot of different things. And I was sitting here thinking about, just like having self-compassion. When you think about those
Yes,
things y'all did together, and now it's like I go eat by myself and it's okay, and like giving yourself like the freedom to do that. Like,
yes,
it's okay for me to be sitting here, by myself enjoying a meal. And what you just did was help to shift mindsets of kind of shifting your perspective of
yes,
and reframing, like, yeah, it's like not the I don't want to be here by myself eating, but okay,
yes,
at least I'm out the house. At least I'm making a step to try something new, and I'm doing it by myself, but I'm doing it. So
yes,
I think what you just said just gives people a lot of power and freedom to be like, it's okay to go do these things. Like, or you need to be doing these things. So
yes.
I really appreciate your insight. And we talked a lot about the coffee shops, and I got to get to that one by the movie soon. So thank you for reminding me about that. But as we wrap, Miss Barbara, it's two more questions I was going to ask you about.
Okay.
Number one, what are some daily practices that you do just to keep yourself grounded? What's some daily things you do?
Well, of course, my daily is, having that prayer time with God, my daily devotion. Um, and then also, even with my son, talking to him, that helps, that keeps me grounded.
Hmm.
And family and friends, I tell you, that's the one thing that keeps me so grounded. Um, Even I have one of my church members that, I think we've been around each other for so long. They even see me at church like, okay, you're not looking right. What's going on? They would text me,
Yeah.
hey, how you doing? You doing okay today?
Hmm.
So that helps in having family that know you so well, or friends that know you so well that, hey, let me check on you. Or if I haven't talked to you in a few days, let me check on you. Uh, one of my god sisters, we check like daily, like, hey, how's it going? What's going on? You okay? You going out today? And I also say that one of my god sisters, no matter where I'm at, she always knows where I'm at, because now, given this time, I had to rethink a lot of things, when
Yeah.
my husband died. Because there was nothing to go, like, hey, we gone somewhere. But now I
Hmm.
was trying to make sure somebody knows where I'm at all times.
Yeah.
And even my son, even though he's in Texas, but he knows where I'm at all times. So when I leave the house, hey, I'm going here, I'm going there. Especially when I go on vacation, I have somebody that knows, when I'm going and where I'm going. And I'm usually texting throughout the time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's helped me keep me grounded. Is just having that support, and like I said, my relationship with God now. Um, One of the things you had asked about was uh, songs. I believe it was one of
Yeah.
the questions.
Yeah. Yeah. That was
Uh,
gonna be my last one. So feel free to go on and roll into it. Yeah, for sure.
uh,
Yeah.
the songs that helped me, I would say the first one, at first everything was like fight on, because it was a battle of going through all of this. It was like a battle. Like nobody understood, the fight that I was dealing with, trying to smile and be happy on the outside, and I'm tore up on the inside. I had to fight on and keep pushing on.
Yeah.
Um, the other song now is like, I always think about, because as I said, I'm a very quiet person, but is my song that says, my worship is for real. Nobody
Yeah.
understands my praise but God. So my worship
Hmm.
is for real. My relationship with God is for real. Nobody understands what He's brought me through from early childhood up until now. God has brought me through a whole lot. And then the last song, and I always play this even when I have moments at work. I'll
Hmm.
put my headphones in, and I'll listen to it. It says, everything is going to be all right. It's a newer version by Isaiah Templeton. But
Okay.
that, like, whenever I play that song, it says, everything is going to be all right. It's like it gives me a peace, even when I'm at work and things get stressed out of work. I'll listen to that, and it settles me. It gives me that peace because
Yeah.
I know everything is going to be all right because God is in control. God is
Hmm.
in control of everything. And as I always tell my Sunday school class when I'm teaching, God knows everything. He sees what's going on. He hasn't forgotten you. He's right there with you as you're going through. So that song, it keeps me um, during stressful times, during happy times, during even times when I get a little down. I'll
Hmm.
play that and it'll say everything is going to be all right. And it's like such a nice um, melody, peaceful. And when I listen to it, it's like it just gives me peace, brings peace. Even when I'm, like I said, with all the anxiety and all the other things going on, that song gives me peace. I know Al Green had it many years ago, but when Isaiah Templeton sings it, I feel like it just like, it gives me, it's like, it's okay. It's okay, God.
Yeah.
God saying, I got you, Barbara. And
Yeah.
that's what I always say. God always, I feel like he always tell me, Barbara, I got you. I got you. Don't worry about it. I got you. So that
Yeah.
just gives me that peace of that.
Yeah, I'm about to look that version up. I've never heard this, so I'm about to look that up for myself. But
Yes.
yeah, yeah. But thank you so much, Minister Barbara, just for being on today. And I know we are this. You have wrapped season 2 for this podcast, and I'm so appreciative of you coming on and just being willing to share your story, and also to talk a lot about the holidays because, of course, we're right here in November. We're finna
Yes.
roll right into the holiday time, and I take a break from the podcast, so we won't be having episodes in November, December, just to recalibrate and get ready for the new year. But I really appreciate all your insight you have given today to really help us go through these holidays. And I
Thank
want
you
you
for
to
having me.
yes, you're welcome. I want you to re-announce when it's November the 8th, correct? Re-announce that
Yes.
real quick for the people.
No, Saturday, November 8th at 10
Okay.
o'clock at Grace United in Columbia, Tennessee, 416 East 8th Street. I'll be having Surviving the Holidays, Surviving Your Grief During the Holidays. We have panel speakers that's going to be out. I got 2 of them right now. Still have some more that's coming out. So it'll be looking forward to everyone coming out. Anyone in the community, as you're hearing this, if you've ever lost a loved one and you wanted to come out, come on out. It's for everybody. Anybody, if you lost a spouse, you've lost children, wife, husband, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, cousins, come on out and just hear how you can survive the holidays.
Yes, 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 yes. You guys go out and support it. Tap in. Miss Barbara is doing
Yes.
great things at Grace United. So all right. Well, we will wrap. One thing Quinn used to always say is all is well. So I always end every episode with all is well. And we will see you guys back in the new year with new episodes, new guests. And I'm just excited to see what God has in store for this podcast and also for all the guests that we've had on season 2. Thank you again, Miss Barbara. Really appreciate it. And you
Thank you
guys,
so much.
you're welcome. You guys have a great rest of the week, great rest of the last as we wrap this year. I see great things for all of us. So have a
Yes.
good day. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
We hope that today's episode has encouraged you and helped to identify strategies to navigate your grief and begin the process of moving forward in life. Grief Tribe Healing Vibes. What were some key takeaways from today's episode? Drop a comment below and remember to like, follow, and subscribe.